If you're a Washington Commanders fan, go ahead and smash that like button right now, because what I'm about to tell you might just change the course of our defense in 2025. A 3-time Pro Bowler, a 17.5 sack machine, and a player who's not happy in Cincinnati. Is Trey Hendrickson the missing piece for Dan Quinn's defense? Let's break it down. And as always, don't forget to subscribe for all things Commanders, every single week. Just when you thought Adam Peters might be done making big moves this offseason, the door might be cracking open for one more potential blockbuster. We're talking about Trey Hendrickson, one of the most dominant edge rushers in the NFL over the icy last 4 seasons. He's coming off a career-best 17.5 sacks, a first-team All-Pro selection, and was absolutely vital to the Bengals' defensive identity. But now, things have soured in Cincinnati. Big time. In a raw, frustrated statement to ESPN, Hendrickson didn't. Hold back. They are no longer communicating. I have been eagerly awaiting a resolution of this situation, but that's hard to do when there is no discussion and an evident lack of interest in reaching mutual goals. That's not your standard business side of football, quote. That's a guy who's ready to move on. And teams across the league are watching closely, especially Washington. Let's be honest, the Commanders' pass rush was solid last year, but not special, not dominant, not game-changing. Dorrance Armstrong is a reliable piece. Frankie. Luvu is a versatile chess piece. But after trading away Chase Young and Montez Sweat, Washington never fully replaced that consistent edge presence who forces offenses to game plan around him. That's where Hendrickson fits the bill. He's not just a sack artist. He's disruptive on every snap. His motor doesn't stop. He has elite get-off, and most importantly, he wins one-on-one battles consistently, something Dan Quinn's system thrives on. And think about this, Commanders fans. Hendrickson lined up next to Jonathan Allen and Darren Payne? That's a terrifying trio for any offensive line in the NFC. Here's why this is more than just speculation. It fits the DNA of this front office. GM Adam Peters has shown zero hesitation in being aggressive. He traded for Laramie Tunsil. He went out and got Deebo Samuel. And he's completely flipped the narrative on what this franchise is all about. And let's not forget, head coach Dan Quinn built his Dallas Cowboys defense around dominant pass rushers. He wants pressure. He wants players who can hunt the quarterback in high-leverage situations. You don't think Quinn is looking at Hendrickson's film right now? You don't think he's imagining what it would look like to have his own Micah? Parsons type on the edge? Trust me, the fit makes way too much sense. Now, let's talk logistics. Hendrickson is entering the final year of his deal, set to make $15 million in base salary. He wants long-term security, and the Bengals, for whatever reason, don't seem interested in extending him. Washington, on the other hand, has cap space. They also have draft capital, thanks to Peters' smart moves earlier in the offseason. And most importantly, they have a defensive-minded head coach who would maximize Hendrickson's value immediately. A potential trade could look like this. Trade package proposal. Washington sends a 2026 second-round pick and a conditional 4th Bengals send Trey Hendrickson. It's a win-win. The Bengals recoup value before losing him for nothing. The Commanders add a pass-rushing force without mortgaging their future. And let's be real, if you're serious about chasing a Super Bowl with Jaden Daniels on his rookie deal, this is exactly the kind of move you make. Speaking of Jaden Daniels, this team is already fully built around his meteoric rise. You've got Laramie Tunsil protecting his blind side. You've got Deebo Samuel joining Terry McLaurin out wide. Zach Ertz is in the red zone. Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler in the backfield. The offense is ready to explode. But to win in January, you need a defense that closes games. That creates chaos. That gets you off the field on 3rd and long. Right now, the Commanders have a good defense, but Hendrickson could take them to elite. And remember, Daniels took this team to the NFC Championship as a rookie. If he takes another leap and the defense adds another cornerstone, this roster goes from dangerous to complete. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Can Jaden Daniels avoid the dreaded sophomore slump? According to CBS Sports' Cody, Benjamin, absolutely. It's very possible the Commanders' dependence on aging and/or injury-prone veterans could force Daniels to do too much. But all in all, his setup looks deeper than it did in 2024. Benjamin's point is valid. But here's the key difference. Daniels isn't regressing. He's evolving. This isn't a guy who stumbled into a hot streak. He started all 17 games, threw for 3,568 yards, rushed for nearly 900, accounted for 31 total touchdowns, made the Pro Bowl, and he's already back at OTAs taking full command of the offense. Terry. McLaurin recently said it best during a charity event. He could have just hung his hat on what he did last year, but you can tell he still has a hunger for more. That's the DNA of a true franchise quarterback. So here's where things stand. The Commanders are on the cusp. They're one or two defensive pieces away from being a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Trey Hendrickson is elite, available, and wants out. Adam Peters has the assets. Dan Quinn has the scheme. And Jaden Daniels, he's ready to take that next step. But he needs a defense that can help close the deal. If this trade becomes real, Washington must be aggressive. It's time to complete the puzzle. Let's start with what might be the most exciting development of the offseason outside. Of player movement, the Washington Commanders are headed overseas. That's right. The NFL has officially confirmed that the Commanders will face the Miami Dolphins in Madrid, Spain, on November 16th. That's week 11 of the regular season, with kickoff scheduled for 9:30 a.m. Eastern on NFL Network and NFL Plus. Now this is monumental for a few reasons. First, it's the first time ever the NFL will host a game in Spain, and the Commanders are front and center for it. Second, it's a clear sign that the league believes in Washington as a growing global brand. And with Jaden Daniels leading the charge, and stars like Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil on board, this team is becoming must-watch football, both in the US and abroad. And listen, this isn't just a cool photo op. The Commanders get national exposure and valuable momentum if they take care of business in Madrid. And with how Dan Quinn preaches resilience and preparation, you better believe he's already laying the groundwork for that trip. Circle it on your calendar. Week 11, Commanders versus Dolphins. In Spain. A statement game, in every sense. Now let's talk about another confirmed date, and it's a big one. The Commanders will host the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 16 on Saturday, December 20th, just 5 days before Christmas. It's going to be broadcast on Fox, Fox Deportes, and NFL Plus, and it could end up being one of the most important games of the entire NFC playoff race. And think about this. FedEx Field, under the lights, right before the holidays, in a high-stakes NFC East clash? That's classic football weather, high drama, and the kind of moment that builds legacies. If the Commanders are in playoff position, and let's be real, with the talent on this roster, they should be, this game could have seeding implications or even division title stakes. And after losing a tight one to Philly last season, there's a little revenge factor in the air too. Now, while the full NFL schedule officially drops Wednesday, we've been doing some digging. And thanks to early leaks and confirmed reports, we already know quite a bit about the 2025 Commander schedule. Here's a breakdown of the confirmed and deduced matchups so far. Week 1. Washington will not play the Cowboys or Eagles. They're opening the season against each other on Thursday, September 4th. That leaves the door open for a non-division opener, possibly against an AFC team or a middle-tier NFC opponent like the Lions or Seahawks. Week 4, 5, and 6. The Commanders won't face the Minnesota Vikings or the Denver Broncos in this stretch. Minnesota and Denver both are coming off international games, likely entering their bye weeks. Week 10. No game against the Eagles, Packers, or Falcons this week. That narrows down opponents for that Sunday, likely an NFC matchup. Week 11. At Miami and Madrid, Spain, November 16th. Week 12. Expected bye week, pretty standard for international returnees. Week 13. No Bears or Eagles. Week 16. Home versus Eagles, December 20th. Week 17. No Broncos or Chiefs. So while there are gaps still to fill, this early info gives fans something to work with. And Adam Peters and Dan Quinn absolutely are using this data in their preparations. They know when the travel weeks are, when the rest comes, and when the most critical showdowns line up. Let's take a quick look at who the Commanders will be facing in 2025. Because schedule isn't just about dates, it's about matchups. Home games: Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Bears, Lions, Broncos or Raiders. Seahawks away games: Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Packers, Chiefs, Charge, Ears, Vikings, Dolphins. Madrid, Falcons. This is no cupcake schedule. You've got elite QBs like Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Jared Goff. You've got tough road environments like Arrowhead, Lambeau, and SoFi. And don't forget about the 3 NFC East road trips, which are always physical, emotional games. But here's the thing, this team isn't sneaking up on anybody anymore. Jaden Daniels is a rising superstar. The offensive line is upgraded. The defensive identity is forming under Dan Quinn. And if the Commanders can stay healthy, this roster has no excuse not to contend. The travel-heavy parts of the schedule, Spain, plus West Coast trips to LA and Vegas, will test the team's conditioning and depth. But with strategic rest around Week 12 and a home-heavy December, the path is manageable. Let's highlight 3 marquee moments you need to get hyped for. The Madrid matchup, Week 11 versus Miami. This could be the Commanders' most visible game of the year globally. Big stage, elite opponent, huge momentum swing. December showdown with Philly, Week 16. NFC East football, playoff tension, and revenge, all rolled into a FedEx Field holiday banger. Likely MNF or SNF spotlight. With so many stars, don't be surprised if Washington lands multiple primetime games when the full schedule drops. Think Debo. Think McLaurin. Think Jaden lighting up the night. And remember, momentum matters. How this team handles early road tests and the bye after Spain will determine how much juice they carry into that playoff push. All right, Commanders, fans, what do you think? Should Washington go all in and trade for Trey Hendrickson? Or would you rather see the current group develop together under Dan Quinn? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you want to see Hendrickson in burgundy and gold, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates on your Washington Commanders. Only here on Commanders HQ. Let's keep building this thing the right way. See you in the next one. Hail to the Commanders.